and it let out this blood-curdling, guttural scream.
On the side of the road, he sees a deer carcass and something eating on it, which he thought was a bear. And as the lights hit it, it stood up. And, like, this gives me chills talking about it. He said it stood up and it had the face of a man.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bigfoots of America podcast show. I'm your host, Bryan Sawyer, coming at you. This is episode 43. Really excited. You know, I'm excited about every episode, but what's so cool about our eyewitness today is she may be the first Dogman eyewitness here in the great state of Michigan that I talked to. You know, I started like 3 years ago and then, met some Bigfoot eyewitnesses, getting a bunch of Bigfoot stories. And then Susan gets a hold of me and is like, hey, I've had some Dogman sightings. And I'm like, what? so we finally, thank goodness Susan has been patient with me, because it took some time to finally meet up with Susan and get her episode filmed, or I should say it's about halfway filmed. We're going to do one more overnight expedition with Susan Moore at her location. And look, I got to throw in one more thing because I'm so excited about this eyewitness. Susan is not only a Dogman eyewitness, but all right, hold on to your seats. You're not going to believe this. She is a pterodactyl eyewitness. That's right. I said it. All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Susan in. Hey, Susan, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome, man. So good to have you on. You know,
Thanks.
as I was saying in the prelude, man, it's been a joy to get to know you. It really has. It's been an honor. Thanks for being patient with me. You know, there's been a few eyewitnesses out there. It's taken me some time, for scheduling and whatever reasons,
Right.
whether to meet up with y'all. So, I'm going to be very careful with what I say, because if you want to talk about general locations, I'm going to leave that up to you. We do want to keep some of these locations private. You have a personal connection to your location where you've
Yes.
had so many encounters. So, yeah. So I'm going to leave that up to you. But Susan, man, let's jump right into it. See, I know your story because we just filmed your episode, or most of it. We're going to do the
Right.
overnight still in November. But for the folks at home, go ahead and give it to us, man. How'd you get started in all this? Or how should I say, how did it start happening to you?
Well, honestly, Brian, I come from a family of weirdos. That's what we call each other. If there's something weird out there or something paranormal, or it finds us. And so I grew up in a family, part Native American. The other half of my English people come from the Druids. So I have a real rich
Nice.
culture, French gypsies, on both sides. And so I grew up on the river by where I took you, uh,
Hmm.
and just directly across the street. And there was always strange happenings going on down there. And that's where I saw the big flying dinosaur looking thing when I was probably about 8 or 9, playing in the yard. It was big enough that it stopped me playing, and I looked up and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? And growing up in the woods and stuff on the river, and I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It wasn't a, it wasn't a stork, it wasn't a crane. This thing was enormous. and it looked to me just like a dinosaur, a pterodactyl. And that place has always been very strange. My brother has seen things down there. My mom heard screams down there in the middle of the night, which I think now she probably heard the Bigfoots communicating to one another. And
Okay.
yeah, it's just, but I spent a lot of time in that woods with my dad. We'd go down there mushroom hunting and stuff like that. So we always had a lot of stuff. You know, I was down there a lot and picking blackberries and asparagus and mushrooms, and it's a very, very unique place. It's my Zen place. That's where I go. That's where I went as a kid. And mom would say, I heard some strange things down there last night. Don't you kids be down there in the woods? And of course, that's the first place I would go. My brother he used to hunt down there, and he had some very strange things, orbs in the creek, enough to scare him that he never went back down to hunt there ever again. When it got dark, he was out of there. And yeah, and my first inkling of something of a Bigfoot being down there, or a clan of Bigfoots, was about 5 years ago. I went down. I went to a Bigfoot conference local, and met up with some of the people there, Linda and Gabe and them guys.
Hmm.
And the guy that was going to take them out on Dewey Lake said, "Hey, why don't I can't go? Why don't you guys see if maybe somebody else in the area can take you?" And I said to Gabe, I said, "I got a place we can go. I don't know if there's anything down there, but it's a very strange place. Things happen. People have seen things." Okay, they said. Well, we went down and we got some action down there that night. One of the girls that was in the group got a picture of a hand coming around a tree, and that was really cool. When we saw those pictures, once we got back, back to my place
Hmm.
and stuff, but I grew up right there. So I grew up in a family. My mom's people, they're just, we're strange. I'm telling you, things just find us. Cousins, aunts, uncles, yeah. And it's always been that way. So I've never been afraid of paranormal things, or I've never been afraid of, in tribal history, the Sasquatch, they've been around forever. So I think just being raised the way I was, that sometimes these things are attracted to you, or they know that you're not going to hurt them or harm them. But yeah, after I seen the picture of the hand around the tree, I was hooked. And that was
Wow.
about 5 or 6 years ago. So, and every time we go down there, there's some kind of interaction with the Bigfoots down there.
Mhm. Nice.
Definitely. And I did have a woman come with us. She had psychic abilities. And she said to me, she said, "Sue, there's a really big one down here." And I said, "Yeah, that's the big guy." And she goes, "He is very protective of you." And she goes, "He's sending me mental images of you playing as a child down there and them watching over you." And I said,
Awesome.
"That does not surprise me one bit." So I've kind of connected with the big guy down there. I call him Seti because I love anything Egyptian. And
Hmm.
Seti kind of was the leader. So that's what I call him. And I sent you some pictures. And then there's the youngster juvenile. That's Chewy. I call him Chewy. But I think there's
Nice.
probably a clan of about anywhere from 5 to 8 down there.
Okay.
It's a thousand
Okay.
acres, river, fruit. There's fish. There's otters, or not otters, but beavers and muskrat. And yeah, it's a paradise down there for them.
It really is. When I got there, my mouth dropped. I've been to locations where you go, okay, I understand why they can be here, but your location when that one overlook point, I'll keep it kind of vague, that overlook
Yeah,
point, um, my mouth dropped and it was like, oh my gosh, this is like going back in time to
it
like
is.
prehistoric days almost. And yeah, you just get that whole area. I understand it. And I would say, okay, it does not only has a beautiful natural feel to it, but almost, like I said, prehistoric, but almost a supernatural feel as well. You
It
can't
does.
explain it with words. You really can't.
Yeah, anybody that I've taken down there, even as kids playing, they all get like, yeah, I don't know about this place. It's kind, I'm kind of weirded out down here, and I've had cousins that we played down there all the time, and there's a bend in that road that you get to. I've had other Bigfoot researchers there, and they get really ill. They get zapped.
Okay.
I've had a cousin get zapped, and then yeah, we've had a lot of experiences down there.
Yeah, I tried to approach it like any other site. Really be gentle about it. I don't want to be
Right.
like, hey, I'm hunting you guys. It's like, no, we would like to know your story a little bit more if you're willing. If you're not
Hmm.
willing, then I'm not here to harass you. I'm not even here. Yes, of course I want to see you, but I'm not here to you know, uh, ask for well this and that and make howls and bang on stuff and because too, on the flip side of that, I mean, you were telling me a story when we were there, a guy was hooping and hollering, and the next thing you know, a rock comes flying by his head, and not a small rock
Yeah.
either. So you got to be
No, big
careful.
rocks from across that river, and you've seen the width of that river, and they were
Hmm.
landing with precision at our feet. And
Yep.
also that night that I forgot to mention, as we were going back out, that guy got separated from the group. We don't even know how, but we found him walking in circles down there, lost, and had no idea where he was.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And he was the one that was yelling and being aggressive at him. And one of my buddies had to grab him literally and lead him up the path and out of there. But he had separated himself from the group or somehow got separated. I think the Squatches did it.
Oh yeah, without
And
to me.
I don't want to say, because I've never had anything bad happen to me there, that maybe they were going to take him out. I don't know. But yeah, it was very weird. And then we got back to the house and he was fine. So
Wow.
yeah,
No, I've heard about that, getting zapped, all of that, having confusion come on you, almost you feel like you're gonna fall asleep. So yeah, well, there's
yep.
that. So let's talk about more of the Bigfoot encounters. I think it was Gabe. Hopefully he doesn't mind me using his name. Didn't he give out a holler or something and then a Bigfoot call?
Oh yeah, Linda Pomeranke and I were standing at the top of the hill. We had gone down one night investigating, and then the next morning, Gabe's like, "Let's go back down." So I said, "Okay." Well, he never wants to wait for us women because he's 6 foot something. He outwalks us. So he took off down to what we call the pothole, and we were standing at the top at that lookout, and he lets out a whoop, and one stands up from out in the middle of that marsh. And I mean,
Mm,
I could see it clearly. It had a gray belly, kind of a
wow.
dark brownish fur, but it was so massive when it stood up and looked right over to where he was. And of course, we're like, "Oh my gosh, Gabe can't even see it." But that was an amazing experience.
Do you think that
They
one was
would
SETI?
I believe it was. I think he's the big guy. My little cousin, he chooses people to communicate when we're down there with, and my little cousin Alex described him to a T one night, not ever even knowing anything about it. And he goes, "He's got kind of a
Wow.
gray belly." and he said he's going to walk us out. So yeah, it's yeah, that one he will choose to communicate with you definitely.
Wow.
I
And
almost
then I
think like
know,
he's like the guardian of all of them or something, you know.
yeah, the alpha. Yeah, we're starting to learn like, gee, the alpha is not only the alpha because of size and stature and power, but even sometimes, and this is the other side of the Bigfoot thing. Yes, when we go out, we look for biological, natural, tangible evidence like footprints. Like we found a partial footprint, tree structures there. There's this one in
Mhm.
particular tree structure, and then we found this one portion of the path. There are clear deer blinds set up, so when the deer go down, the Sasquatch can reach out and
Yes.
grab them. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, but so now, so yes, there's that natural, and we look for tangible evidence like that. But then also, I'm learning that the alphas are not, like I said, not only alpha because of their size, stature, and all of that, but also they might be the ones able to open up the portals, able to do the interdimensional type things that we keep hearing about. And that's a reason,
Right.
one of my eyewitnesses, Matt Sexton, he's convinced because of everything he's been through, walking
Mhm.
into a portal, have him walk up on him. He had two 10-footers walk up on him. Um,
Oh wow.
and yeah, he's convinced that the alpha is the alpha because it can open the portals, not only because of size and stature and all of that. So yeah, and back to your place though, it's still, um, I have my two favorite places by my house, right?
Mhm.
But I can't get the pothole, your location, out of my brain. Like I think about it, like it's stuck, and I can't say this about any other location. It's stuck in there almost, so I can't wait to get back in November. I can't
It's going
wait.
to be
Um,
fun.
I felt I was confused when we were there because I felt I was looking at a Sasquatch, but I was confused because it wasn't coming up on my thermal device. But now I'm
Right.
learning, well, they're not always on thermal all the time. A lot of times when you
Right.
get them on thermal, like Linda said, she had a couple on thermal, or the little one, I think, Chewy
Mhm.
might have been looking out, but um, I
Yeah, he
couldn't
was
get one
peeking
on.
out from behind the tree. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. But I couldn't get mine. And I'm like, oh man, if this is one, I wonder if it's the big guy and he knows how, he's looking at us and he knows how to elude the thermal and all the devices. Because really, I think they either let you see them, and that's kind of a gift, just like footprints. Um,
Right.
and it I got to tell you this in a minute because you're one of the few people who are going to understand. So they let you see them or you see their footprints, and that's a gift. Or sometimes you might catch them off guard. They might be busy doing something else, and if you're by yourself, especially and you're quiet, you might have a
Right.
chance of walking up on them. But that's few and far between because of the watchers and all of that. So with that said, I got to tell you one more thing, and then I'll let you get back to it. I was at the petroglyphs out here, and
Mhm.
you're one of the few people I can tell this because I was so shocked, Susan. So after I was with you recently, I was at the petroglyphs, and I feel now that I was gifted a footprint, and I'll send that footprint to you. You might have seen it already. It's a
Okay.
very very pronounced footprint. I never cast. We casted one footprint at the Black River Bigfoots, and I wasn't into hauling all the concrete back there and
Yeah,
mixing
I'm
it
not
and
either. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, I got a phone. Um, I'm not here to convince other people that Bigfoot is real. I'm here to share the news, so to speak. I have
Right.
my beliefs, and I'm not going to spend the rest of my life trying to prove to somebody that Bigfoot exists. I am just so fascinated and passionate about this. So I find this footprint, right? And I'm not even thinking of casting it. I've got good pictures of it. But then one of my buddies is like, hey, Brian, actually, you might not be able to find another footprint that pronounced. You might want to cast that one. So within 48 hours, I mean, not 48 hours and later, within 48 hours, maybe 36 hours, I was back. And it was at a location where it was off to the side and not in the way where anybody would come along and step on
Mm-hmm.
it or mess it up, or even if they saw it, just kind of push dirt in it. Susan, when I came back to cast it, it looked like it was never there in the first place. This is within probably 36 hours. It blew my mind. This is at the level. And okay, so since I've been with you, I've heard them howl just outside my tent. So huge,
Mm-hmm.
so loud. I've heard the samurai chatter. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've kind of gotten to that next level. And this was just as amazing as those things were because it was there. And then when I came back to cast it, it wasn't like you can tell if somebody covers it up. It was
Right.
if it was, yeah, it was if it was never there in the first place. And fortunately, my frame was wide enough where I was able to trace a couple of existing rocks that were there when the footprint was there and then draw a
Yeah.
line down and kind of recognize where it was at. But there was no trace that it was ever there. I was so amazed
Wow.
that and so that blew my mind, and I thought that might have been a supernatural aspect. And Matt Sexton agrees
Mm-hmm.
that they're able to cover up, because I had received a woo in that location before, the petroglyphs. I've gifted them there. Yeah, multiple footprints found there. A guy and his daughter were chased out of there, I think 1 or 2 years ago. But they've been really kind to me. So I felt that was a gift because it was one of the
Yeah,
most prominent
definitely.
footprints. Okay, so you think that's a possibility too, that they left it for me, and then covered it right back up after I left.
Yep, I believe so. Yeah, you're right on that one.
Okay, thank you. I had to get that off my chest with you. All right,
Yeah,
so
and I told
go
you
ahead.
about them pounding on the side of the house too, right?
Um, I can't remember, but go ahead, tell us that
I think
story.
I might have. Yeah, after the first night I took a team down there. Um, it was probably 11, 12 o'clock at night, sitting there watching TV, and the whole house shook. Two big booms on the side of the house. And I'm like, oh boy, they figured out where I'm at. And I only lived maybe a mile from there. And then they would come through after that, and two knocks, boom, boom. I mean, it would rattle the kitchen. And so, what my brother and I started doing, because he lived downstairs, I lived upstairs, I would start getting a rotisserie chicken or something, and I would take it out there. Any leftovers, we would leave. And at one point, I went out and I got a print, and now I wish I would have kept the plate, but the claw marks were in the plate that I laid the food on. Yeah, it
Whoa.
looked like human fingerprints, and I couldn't tell you with moving and stuff what happened to that plate. But and then one night they threw the grill. We had one of those big barrel galvanized tank grills
Hmm.
made over in the hood, and that my uncle got me. And I come home one night and my brother had every light in the house on and all the windows were closed. And I'm like, what is going on with you? And he said, there was something out back and it was messing with the grill. I think it threw the grill. And I'm like, who's going to be back there? I said, Tom, raccoons and stuff aren't big enough to lift that grill up and throw it out there. So me being, curiosity killed the cat. That's me. I went out and got the flashlight and looking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, they picked it up off the deck and threw the whole grill right over the deck.
Oh
And we had barbecued
man.
that night on the grill. We had made hamburgers and stuff. And I think they were really upset because I didn't leave them any food that night. So after that, they
Oh,
got food every night. And when they would come through, I knew when they got the food because they would pound the house twice. And what was
wow.
really neat one night is we got a big pound, boom, boom. I mean, it would shake the house. And one night, right after the two big booms, there was two small booms. So I think they had a youngster with them. That was kind of cool. Kind of
Oh my
copying mom or dad,
goodness.
boom, boom, But yeah, there's a very, very unique area. There used to be wild dogs down there. The wild dogs have all disappeared. I
I
mean,
bet.
when you walked down there, them dogs would come out. They cornered my brother up in a tree stand one night. I mean, just, pets that people let go, but they are gone. There are no more wild dogs down there.
Oh,
And
I bet you they took them out.
I'm thinking it's because the squatches are there.
Oh yeah, I think they took them out without a doubt.
Yep,
Man.
definitely.
Oh gosh. Oh hey,
There's
can I dip
there's
real back?
yeah,
Go ahead.
there's tons of tunnels going through that place, underground
Oh,
tunnels from the previous owners. Um, and my friend Gary, as kids, you could drive from over across town, and the airport's there, so they would ride their bikes through them tunnels and get over there to where I lived. And he said they were going through one time, and he said it looked like a gorilla standing there in one of those tunnels. Well, the boys turned around and they never went back. So they've been
oh,
there a long time. And that was when Gary was about 10.
okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, they've been there a long, long time. But
Wow.
they've
All
never
right. So
really been aggressive towards anyone, well, they did throw the sticks at us one night, but
they seem to have their reasons though. They seem to be pretty docile. But then if you go in there and you're going to cause some kind of trouble, you're bringing it on yourself, is what I'm saying.
I tell you, one night we were down there, some friends and I, and we were standing under this big maple or oak, and we could hear that samurai chatter stuff going on all the way. I mean, all the way down, all the way back out. And I think we interrupted their hunting, is what they were doing, because it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And my friend Matt goes, "Oh my gosh, there's something coming from across the river." Well, it was a big branch and it hit the tree above us. And all these turkeys started dropping out of the tree. And I'm telling you, I almost peed myself. I mean, because I thought there was Bigfoots coming out of the tree on us. And that was a very tense moment. I kid you not. It was like, uh-oh, here goes. We're all done. But yeah, they'll do stuff like that, and they'll parallel us every time we go down. So they're definitely there. I've gotten some good pictures.
Awesome. Awesome. I got to dip back for a second because we touched on the pterodactyl just for a moment, and I want to dig into that
Right.
a little bit more. People at home are like, "Yeah, what do you mean you seen a pterodactyl and all this kind of stuff?" Well, guess what, Susan? You've got company. I have a person named Christine Lee, and she had
Hmm.
her kids and another eyewitness just north of your location see a
Okay.
pterodactyl around the same time, and the
Oh
pterodactyl they
wow.
saw was as big as a car. All right, and I
Oh yeah,
forget her name. I
definitely.
think yeah, and then there was another eyewitness. I think her name was Barbara. I got to dig into all my notes. Who in along even farther north was it Ludington? Um, Maybe I've got that town wrong, but farther up the coast of Michigan also had a pterodactyl sighting. But then, okay, I don't want to give away locations. About your same parallel,
Hmm.
come east a bit. I have
Yeah.
another gentleman who saw what he swears up and down. No, it wasn't a pterodactyl. It was way too big. He said this thing was bigger than a semi because he had a glider to compare it to, and he swears that all his study and research, and he dug into it deep. He says his
Mhm.
sighting wasn't. He doesn't believe it as a pterodactyl, more of a thunderbird. So, with that
Oh,
said,
wow.
yeah, you have a company of eyewitnesses. It's not just Susan Moore going, "Hey, I saw a pterodactyl," and then people can say, "Well, it's this or that." No, there was multiple sightings in that area around the same time. Can you give? So you did you get like a color? In my mind, I would just want to know: did you get any kind of color off of that?
It would that, and I can remember that, and I was 8 years old. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Um, it was like a grayish green, bluey hue somewhere in there. And
Okay.
I remember the massive head and the massive wingspan. And I, I mean, as a kid, it startled me because I'm like, what was that? And I remember running in and telling mom, I just seen a pterodactyl. And mom's like, oh, Susie, it was probably a stork or something. Growing up in the woods, I knew what a stork looked like. It was not a stork, but it had a grayish, greeny, kind of a bluish green, gray hue to it. Yep. I
Okay.
mean, it
Awesome.
flew right over the top of the pothole there, because I lived directly across the street, and it flew right over there, and it seemed to be landing down in there. And honestly, Brian, I didn't play down there for a long time after I saw that, because I
Okay.
really thought
Okay.
there was a dinosaur down in that swamp.
Yeah, and you made the point for me. People at home, you lived right by this location, so to speak, and you
Definitely. Yep.
spent every day out there. You know what you're looking at and what you're not looking at, and you're going to know if there's
Yep.
a pterodactyl as opposed to a stork. I've been there. I know I've seen your house where you used to live as a little girl, and I've seen this
Yep.
location, and I can't say with enough fervor to the people at home that this location is absolutely gorgeous and amazing. All right.
It is. It's my one of my favorite places to go besides up north. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
just
wish.
beautiful up there.
Yeah, I wish I didn't live so far. All right, so we dealt with the pterodactyl. Do we have any more Bigfoot stuff to talk about? I'm trying because I can't remember. Susan, I've been so busy. I'm gonna start going through your footage for your episode soon. I'm gonna
Mhm.
connect it to our overnight coming up. I've already decided that. So I can't remember every Bigfoot encounter. So are there any more Bigfoot encounters, or can we move on to Dogman?
Yeah, there's a ton of Bigfoot encounters. And I've sent you some of the pictures with those, and I told you about my little cousin Alex, and we were
Yes, I'm
down
going
there
to
in
keep
the.
those. Just so you know,
Yep.
I've decided to keep your pictures for the TV episode. So
Okay.
it's like, yeah, so I'm going to keep this as a generic conversation. And then that way is going to be, kind of a teaser for your episode.
Okay. Yeah, and then I just told you about the recent one down here. I live maybe 20 minutes from, you know, where the pothole is, and I was investigating. A buddy of mine said a guy had a sighting just 5 minutes from my new place, and you should go check it out. I said, oh, I will, and I did, and that's when I sent you that print in the sand,
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
and then
Cool. You know what? Maybe I'll put that. All right. So tell you what, everybody at home, that print in the sand. Oh my gosh. See, that's how busy I've been. I just been down at the South
right.
Carolina Bigfoot Festival. Then I had to go to Atlanta. Um, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm gonna put that Bigfoot footprint in the sand right now. All right, go ahead, Susan.
And one thing I've noticed about them, if if you go down and not mess with them, so to say, but to try to communicate with them, every time I've done that with a squatch or investigating something, they find me. And now
Wow.
I live in a trailer park now, but it's wooded, and it's all around these woods. And I went down and did a couple of whoops, and certain specific whistles, like whistling a tune, And
Hmm.
when I got down there, I noticed, people walking down to the lake is what they're doing. And it's beautiful. It's woods and hills, and we should investigate that sometime too. And
I'm game. I'm game.
I got down there and I'm like, that is not a human footprint right there. Those toes are way too long. And so I put my foot up, and I look like a midget compared to that one. But I mean, this track was huge. And so I let out a couple whoops, whistled a little tune just to see if I'd get a response. Nothing. Got home that night and laid down, and I'm, snoozed out, and I hear this whoop just like I let out. And I'm like, wait, did I just hear that? Was that coyotes? And and I always try to rationalize everything. And then there's the whistle that I let out, and it sounded like it was maybe 40 yards out from where my trailer is, my house trailer. And I knew right then, I said, oh my gosh, they tracked me. And like I said, I'm 5 minutes from there, but they will track you down. I've learned that. Definitely track you
Amen.
down. So will Dogman.
And that's what's so amazing about this subject, the armchair quarterbacks, and I won't get too deep into it. This is the part that
Right.
upsets me is people who glance at YouTube every once in a while don't know how deep this goes. They don't
No.
understand that stuff like we all have our own, what's it called, an aura,
Yep.
our own signature in the interdimensional paranormal spiritual realm, and it's like a
Hmm.
fingerprint. Yes, they will follow you home if they choose to. um
If they choose
if
to.
you're an
Yep.
idiot. Yeah, yeah. Can you
Yep.
speak on that a little bit? What are your thoughts? We don't know, but how do you think they track us?
By smell. You and I have talked about it. I believe that, my personal belief that they are a created being that has been here since the beginning of time. And that's a lot of tribal stuff that I go with on that. But they've been here. They're their own race. That's what I believe. But they're, I don't want to say they're an animal, but they're just a created being. And I think they have super, super, super sensitive senses, and they're super sensitive to the woods. And just like any animal, I mean, look at over there in Africa and stuff, the tigers will, and lions, they'll track you down and find you if you've hurt
Mm.
one of their own. And I think they're the same way. I think they just think, you know what, I got to go check this person out further, so I'm going to go see if they'll communicate with me some more. But I think they sniff us out.
Awesome, and I agree with you. I've had to learn so much and have my paradigm shift, and I thought this way, and now I think this way, and I love it because now, that with everything I'm learning from all of you eyewitnesses and my fairy encounter, I have
Hmm.
learned to shut my mouth, be very careful with my opinion, and just listen to people. So yeah, I mean that
Yeah.
makes sense. A bloodhound could track me. I don't care if in my car driving
Right.
home from work, a bloodhound can do it. So why can't they? They've been in
Oh,
the
yeah.
forest their whole lives. These are ancient I don't even want to call them creatures anymore because I think they're a step up. I don't there's some kind of being that we don't fully understand, and I want to give the respect due to them that's
Right.
deserved.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then, and the way they choose to communicate, I've learned, the big guy, he will communicate. We always take offerings. I've heard a lot of people in Bigfoot world, oh, don't give them food, don't give them food. But as in my culture, that is something, I'm entering into their territory, so I'm going to leave them a gift, whether it's some
Bingo.
oatmeal raisin cookies or apples, or that's just the way I was brought up in my teachings. Um, but the big guy down there, he'll send me mental images of uh, oatmeal raisin cookies. I know when he wants some oatmeal raisin cookies. And
Nice.
one time we went down and we did some caramel apples, and I've been driving through there on my way to work every day just to kind of let them know I'm back and talking to them, you know, mentally. And he kept showing me caramel apples. So when we go down in November, I have to take them some caramel apples. Every time I get down there, I see caramel
Fantastic.
apples in my head. Yeah. So, and I
Awesome.
think it's
And it's a sign
amazing the
of
way
respect.
yes, and it's amazing the way they're able to just choose a person to communicate with. Yep. It's great. They always choose somebody in the crowd when we're down there.
Fantastic. Wow. I see that's why I can't get enough talking to you. I miss you already. Can't wait to see you again and get with everybody down there at the pothole. I had so much fun. Oh my, I can't even say I was disappointed that I was only there the one day. So I'm excited to kind of come during the day and then hang out during the night and then into the next day. So excited about that.
Yeah,
Um,
I told whoever's coming, I'm like, you guys better be ready to stay down there for a long time.
Yeah, hopefully it won't get too cold, but I'm gonna just try to be totally prepared with everything I'm bringing, you know?
Yep, me too.
All right, what we doing? Oh, we're doing great on time. All right, let's jump into the Dogman stuff. Cause yeah, we can talk for hours. That's one thing about you and I. But for the folks at
Right.
home, let's stay on point and let's talk about your Dogman sighting.
All right. Well, 3.5 years ago, I moved up north and I stayed in my camper. And I was on 8 acres by myself at my cousin's place and had the camper, the screen door shut, but the big door open where I could look out toward the pines and watch the deer and the other animals and stuff come through. And I was sitting there one night and I had this distinct feeling like something's watching me. You know, the hair stands up and I look out of my screen and there's a bipedal wolf looking creature standing over by the fire pit. And I'm going to say it's probably 30, 40 yards out from where my camper was. And, you know, at that moment, I'm like, you blink and am I losing my mind? Because this cannot be happening. And he was a kind of grayish black, a lot of gray mixed in, standing there. And probably, I'm going to say maybe about 6 foot tall. And he was watching me. And I remember his eyes, just like a wolf's eyes. And it's looking, and for some reason, I know it was a male. And he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him. And I'm like, okay, I have to try to get to the door, open the screen, which I didn't want to do, and shut this big door and lock it. And I knew just from, being into cryptid investigating and stuff like that he could get to me before I could get to that door. So I just did everything very slowly. I got up, opened the screen, and reached out and grabbed my door and shut it and locked it. And I looked out, and he's still standing there watching me. And then the next morning, I got up, and believe it or not, Brian, I wasn't like terrified or anything. I'm just like, okay, I saw what I saw, and now he's gone, and he, if he wanted to hurt me, he would have done so. And the next morning I got up and I'm drinking my coffee and I look on the window and there's prints, 2 handprints with long claw marks and a snout print pressed right against my camper window. And you could actually see the mud dripping down from where the handprint, or paw print, whatever you want to call it, was. But it was more like a human hand with almost canine and human combined, if you know what I'm saying. And that made me a little uneasy because he was brave enough to come up to the camper and was watching me sleep, evidently. And the following night, I'm laying there in bed and poof, the whole camper moves, you hear this, and I'm like, uh-oh, there's a bear or something outside. and on top of the camper. Well, it sounded like a 300-pound human up there, and it's walking, and I could hear it sniff at every vent on top of the camper. And honestly, at that point, I had a hatchet and a machete, and I grabbed a knife, and I grabbed my hatchet beside my bed, and I laid there. And at that point, I was terrified because I thought, you know what? That's that Dogman out there, and it's about to go down because he's going to come through the top of this camper. I mean, and you could hear it bipedal. It wasn't four legs. I hunt and fish, and you know the difference. And I'm like, oh goodness, laying there, it's about to go down. I mean, that's what I was thinking. It's about to go down. It's going to be fight or flight here in just any moment. And I heard him walk all the way across the top of the camper and jump down on the ground, and boom, gone. And then it was maybe about 2 or 3 weeks later. I got home. I worked nights, so I got home late, and I was doing dishes. And I look out, and there's a set of yellow eyes staring at me, in my kitchen window of the camper. And I'm like, oh no, he's back, And I was thinking, what am I going to do with this thing? And then another set appears behind those eyes, yellow. At that point, I got really scared, and I called the sheriff's department, and they came out. No tracks, no nothing. And I said, I know it's October, and you guys might think, this is a trick or whatever. I said, it's not. And I said, I've seen things here, and I showed them the prints on my window. And the one officer acted very nervous. And they kept looking at each other. They said, did it have red eyes? I said, no, the eyes were yellow. I said, there was 2 sets of them. And they looked at each other, and the other one, I go, okay, guys, what are you not telling me? And the other cop goes, well, just tell her. And he goes, we can get in trouble for telling you this, but there's been other reports of people having some kind of animal or something looking in their window.
Whoa.
And you want to hear something that I've kind of pieced together. You think about it when the moment you don't, but I've thought about that a lot. But at that time, there was a guy that lived down in the woods, and he dressed like it was the middle of winter in the fall, and he would be walking every time I went down this certain road. He would be walking down that road, and we would just look at each other, and you could tell he was homeless and stuff. And honestly, I piece all that stuff together after I start thinking about it. And I don't know if it was a shapeshifter that was watching me that night, that walked across the top of my camper. I don't know if that guy had anything to do with it, like being a shapeshifter, living back in the woods.
Right.
I mean, there's not too many people that live back in the woods in the Manistee National Forest. I mean, it's pretty rough out there. But
Yeah, I was just
I
up
don't
there
know.
at the Marilla Trailhead. It's gorgeous, but boy, oh
Oh, it's
boy.
beautiful. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I've seen that properties. We have to go up there and camp next year. You'll
Okay.
definitely want to go there. Yep. The Bigfoots communicate up there as well. We've all been sitting
Awesome.
around the campfire, and they'll throw pine cones at you. Yep. They make sounds
Awesome.
all the way around the camp, and everybody gets freaked out.
Fantastic. I just came
And then
from the go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I just came it's funny, different Sasquatch behave differently. And what
Mm-hmm.
I learned is like my Black River Bigfoots, Matthew Sexton, Jim Ingram,
Right.
um, they're more reserved because they're closer to urban areas. Um,
Right.
I went to the Appalachian Mountain. I couldn't believe it, Susan. We went up on top of a mountain. I went with 2 members of the NCI team, okay, which is the North
Mm-hmm.
Carolina investigators, Bigfoot and
Right.
paranormal investigators. They took me up in the Appalachian Mountains. I'm trying to think where it was. at close to Westminster, where the
Mhm.
South Carolina Bigfoot Festival was. They took me up on top of the mountain. I no sooner stepped out of the truck, Susan, and I heard legitimate Bigfoot howls coming from three different directions. It
Yeah.
started to my left, it was answered to my right, and then it was answered in front of us. And then I'm gonna leave it at that because then some things happened after that. But so I was like, this is it, man. Well, I'm out in no man's land on top of a mountain where people aren't at, and these things are just communicating back and forth,
Yeah.
unreserved is what I'm
Yep.
meaning to
It's
say.
it's like that
Unreserved.
up north too, up by where I lived, up by Manistee. It's like that there too. I mean, all night long, it was nothing to hear them communicating all night long. It's amazing
Mm.
experience.
And
Yep.
if I'm correct, that's hold on a second here. I've got it right here. That's Wexford County. Am I correct in saying that? The Manistee um
I was up in
eight
Mason County.
okay. Maybe I've got
Yep.
that wrong. I'll have to
Wexford's a
look it
little
up.
bit further. Wexford's toward Mesick, isn't it?
Yes, yes, that's where we
Yeah.
were. So Mason is
Yep.
east.
Yeah. So yeah, I was probably only like 30 minutes from you guys.
Okay, okay. Well, then I was in
Yep.
Alpena too. I mean, you've probably seen everything I've been doing,
Yeah, I saw the
and
videos
and
on that. That's beautiful.
oh yeah, Chad Skolton, he's seen a Bigfoot cloak walk right by him. He's sitting in his deer blind and the thing just walks right by him. Yeah,
Yep.
so it's amazing up there in no man's land.
There are cryptids in the woods that I mean, if I should say normal society, but if people knew what was out there, yeah. And for people not to believe is amazing to me because how can you not go out into the woods and yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
But you know,
it,
another place, Brian, if you want to do Dogman investigation, we got all kinds of activity in Van Buren County
okay. Where's that at?
and maybe 30 minutes from me, if that.
Okay, gotcha.
South of Kalamazoo, and a little kind of east of Benton Harbor. So kind of in between there, but um, we had a sweat lodge out there and they would come up
Oh,
while we were doing sweat lodge. We could hear them literally out in the woods. One got on top of my cousin's car one night because he slept in his car and was shaking the car. And yeah, there's definitely a clan of them out there.
oh my goodness. Well, I
Definitely.
just released Brenda Goodwin's teaser trailer today. You'll probably see that.
I saw it. Yep.
She yeah, she lives in Kalamazoo County and she has said I can't, and it's ongoing. Bigfoot,
Yeah.
Dogman, um, ghost horses, UFOs. It's crazy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so I coined that area, the Michigan Skinwalker Ranch, because I've never seen one location with so many different types of encounters. But back to you. Okay, let's talk about Dogman just for a moment. What do you think Dogmen are? Are they the shapeshifters, skinwalkers? What's their purpose? I'm trying to learn. Are they all good? Are they all bad? Are they in that category? What are your thoughts?
I don't use the term skinwalker myself here. There's another term that the native people use up here. But skinwalker to me that's more like a Navajo Southwest term, and that's what
Gotcha.
they call those people. Um, what I believe the dogmen are, they're werewolves.
Okay.
I believe, to me, in my book, dogman and werewolf, they're the same thing. Um, just from my own experience and what I've seen and experienced myself. Um, and I believe honestly that some are shapeshifters,
Okay.
and I believe that others are. Have you ever seen? that movie Underworld Rise of the Lycans?
Oh, you better believe it. I love those movies.
Me too. Well, because there's some that are pure werewolf, and then there's the lichens that they create. And I believe it's kind of like that. I believe there's some of them that are shapeshifters that people run into, and I believe some of them, again, like Bigfoot, it's a created being. And my people have had stories after stories of them for centuries, that they've been around since the beginning of time.
I've heard different accounts. So, like, yes, one's on their hind legs and their legs look doggish or
Mhm.
wolfish, but then others where their upper part is, all werewolf, but then their lower part is more like a Bigfoot's lower part or more human looking. Have you
Yeah,
heard of different kinds?
I have heard of different kinds. Every one of them that I've encountered has been, and it seems like once you see one, you're going to see another. Same thing with Bigfoots. But the ones I've encountered have all been between 6 and 7 foot tall. Every one of them, very wolf-like in appearance, but human aspects like the eyes and the claws, hands with claws on them, that type of
Okay.
thing. But
Okay. Wow. Hey,
we were able to communicate. Have you ever heard of a spirit box?
I think so. Refresh me. What's a spirit box?
We took one out to this location in Van Buren County where the sweat lodge was, and we're like, we're going to try to communicate with these dogmen. And one person's got the box, and there will be like words that come through, like something's trying to, like a spirit's trying to communicate with you. And the
Okay.
person that's like, I would sit with the dogman, everybody's like, Sue, you talk to him. So I'd put the headphones on. Now I can't hear anything that's going on around me. Well, and this person's asking me questions that has this box, and then I'm just telling them the words that are coming through on my end, on the headphones. And we got to communicate with the dogmen out there, and they got very used to us being out there doing sweat lodge and stuff. And they would come around. I mean, they would mess with us at night. But I tell you what, we never had a bad experience with them. They very mischievous, very
Okay.
mischievous, and they do put out an aura of, I can kill you if I want to, anytime I want to, run. and
Okay.
but they're very intimidating, the ones that have encountered, but they're very mischievous, and they do like to try to trick you and stuff like that.
Mm. Okay. So now I'm up in the Appalachian Mountains this past weekend.
Hmm.
Um, I don't want to give away too much, but we're hearing them kind of get closer to us. Okay.
Yeah.
We get we get some eye shine, normal eye shine, orangish color eye shine, but then,
Hmm.
Susan, we get something that I've only heard Ernie Davio talked about it, that there, was a certain Sasquatch clan out there with blue eyes.
Yeah.
But I have never encountered blue eyes before, and we get blue eyes, eye shine. So my question to you is it possible that dogmen have blue eyes? We knew we were in a Sasquatch location, but the blue eyes threw
Right.
us, and so we thought that that might have been dogman. So you say yellow eyes. Have you ever heard of blue eyes on Sasquatch or dogman?
I have not. They've always
Oh,
been that kind of orangey yellow to me.
okay,
But I can see that they would have blue eyes. I mean, we're human species. We all have different colored eyes, and yeah,
yeah, yeah. Just so we're concerned. Okay, is that a dogman? One of the guys who I totally respect in the NCI team, he said he believed it was a dogman with the blue eyes. But and then I had brought up, well, I've heard of Bigfoot with blue eyes before, but it's very rare. So okay, so I just
right.
wanted your knowledge on that. Um, so Do you think Bigfoot and Dogman get along, respectful of each other, or do they just totally, you know, keep each other out of their own territories?
I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, they fight each other, and I don't believe that. I mean, I'm sure there's been encounters where they do, but I believe for the most part they're very territorial, both of them, and I think that they kind of avoid each other, and I think they learn to get along like all the other animals and stuff on the planet, and learn to avoid each other and respect each other, especially with the Bigfoots because they have such a respect to me for everything. I think, and that's some of my teachings coming in too. That their respect, and they teach us honesty. If you do the 7 directions on the medicine wheel, we actually have Bigfoot there as teaching us honesty. So I would say
Awesome.
that they may clash at one point or another, but I think for the most part they share territories, and just kind of they try not to and go into the others, but I think they share this earth just like the rest of us do.
Awesome, awesome. And this is just me. I would think Bigfoot's the alpha. If it came down to a Bigfoot or a Dogman, I get the feeling the Bigfoot's got, as we say at work, has more seniority, so to speak.
That's what Gabe thinks too. I always tell him, I said, no, I'm gonna have to be on Dogman's side on that one.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I gotta hold a picture up for you.
Okay.
Gosh, I've been just so excited to get to talk to you again. I have met an author by the name of David Walker, and he has a
Hmm.
book out there. And his book that he wrote is called Supernatural Cryptids: Return of the Nephilim. Now, whether you want to believe in that or not, that's up to you.
Right.
But they've got a picture of a dog man in here, and been wanting to show you this to get your thoughts on it. Now, this is one of the most popular Dogman picture out there, from my understanding. It says Dogman picture taken by Richard McCandlish that became the #1 picture in the United States, as documented on Dead Net Studios on YouTube. So, anyways, I'm going to hold this up to you, and it is where my finger's tapping at.
Right.
It is this one. So, what are your
Okay.
thoughts? That legit? You've seen a dog man. Is that legit?
It could be. It looks a little more coyote face to me, but it could be. The ones I've seen have looked, and I tell you, have you seen the ones that I've seen? They're very wolf looking,
Okay.
with
Okay.
a few human characteristics. Um, it- again, Rise of the Lycans, they look very close to that. Or if
All right.
you've
I
ever
gotta
seen
watch.
have you seen Van Helsing?
Oh yeah, definitely.
The werewolves in there look very close to what I've seen. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I'm about to watch all those movies again because
All right.
Halloween is just around the
Yep.
corner, and I'm already like I get home from South Carolina and Georgia, and I'm like, I'm cutting the lawn today, and I'm feeling the fall air and the crisp and the coolness, and we just got our Halloween display out in front of the house, and I'm like, man, I cannot wait to pull up some Charlie Brown and some
Right.
underworld movies and all of that, and just kind of get in that mood again because it's so much
Definitely.
fun. I know some people at home are like, they're scary, and I get that aspect too, but
Right.
they're
Yep.
also so
I
much
I
fun.
You know what, Brian? What I think happens during a lot of encounters is people's fear takes over, and that's what gives them such a bad encounter
Mhm.
because they're being led by fear.
Awesome.
And I've noticed with any cryptid, you have got to stay calm and collected. If you let that fear take over, you're going to have a really bad experience.
Good stuff. Because for me, Two, I'm like, I caught the one on thermal sneaking up behind me, and I held my wits
Hmm.
pretty good. And then even with the howl, just so you can't tell people enough the magnitude or the power that was behind the howl I heard. Like a
Right.
freight train out in the middle of the woods, not far
Yep.
from my tent. It's like I always say, you're not sitting there going, "Oh, I wonder if that was a Bigfoot." No, you're going, "Holy shit, that's a Bigfoot." Your
Right.
mind is blown, but yet, like, I got so excited. It's like the first time I heard him talk, I was like, "Uh-oh, I'm a little bit scared on this," and I kind of clenched up.
Right.
But now I had more expectation out there. So when I heard the howl, and then no, I heard the samurai chatter, and then the howl, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is so awesome!" So
Yep.
anyways. I cannot wait to get out with you again to the pothole, the overnight we're going to do in November. Hey, anything else you want to talk about?
Nope, that's it. My stepson just come in to try to help me get my couch in.
Okay, awesome. Well,
Yeah, I
well, good
believe
luck
he's
with
taking
that.
my door off.
Well, tell you what, Susan, I got to put you backstage now. We're going to wrap it up, and then just stay
Okay.
back there though, because there's a couple of things I got to check out. Make sure your portion has been uploaded completely.
Okay.
But thanks so much for being on the show, and I'll talk to you in a moment.
Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
Well, there you have it, folks. I cannot get enough of talking to Susan Moore. It is so wonderful. She's like I said, she's been patient with me, but now we're in the thick of it. We filmed part of the episode. We've done this podcast. We've talked back and forth. I'm gonna get that. I am gonna throw you a bone, and I will put that picture of the Bigfoot footprint in the sand. I will add that to this episode, but all the other pictures I want to keep for her. TV series episode of the Bigfoots of Michigan TV series. And let's touch on that for a moment. You can reach both of my shows, the Bigfoots of America podcast show and the Bigfoots of Michigan TV series. You can see that on our YouTube channel called Bigfoots of America. And it's also Bigfoots of America podcast show and then slash Michigan, all of that. Just put in Bigfoots of America or Bigfoots of Michigan into YouTube and you can see all those episodes. Most everything is free. There is a $4.99 subscription if you want to get all the info, get the episodes before everyone else does. But we've also been picked up right behind me. We've been picked up by the Channel 12 TV network out of Las Vegas. That is a brand new streaming platform like Hulu or Tubi or something like that. So our shows have begun to air on there as well. I think we've released 4 episodes of Bigfoots of Michigan TV series and the Bigfoots of America podcast show. So I just wanted to plug that in. And right back to Susan Moore. We can't thank her enough for being on the show. And more than likely, she's going to be on the show again, and you'll be able to see her TV series episodes coming in early, probably 2026. I have got so much footage that I've got to edit, but yeah, that's when we'll do it. So yeah, back at everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Bigfoots of America podcast show, and we'll see you soon.